Hey everyone, I'm playing through every PS1 game and I haven't made a video about that in a few minutes because I got really sick and it sucked. I was working on slightly longer videos about Jumping Flash and Pepsi Man, and I need a quick win to get back into this, so I'm just going to talk about Battle Arena Toshinden for a few minutes. BAT was a really early release on the PS1. The console came out in December 94, and BAT was released in January 95, 1 month after the launch. It's a fighting game, and there's really not a lot to it other than that. You just pick a character, and you fight the other characters until you get to the credits. The characters themselves are kind of nothing, really. You've got anime guy with a sword, another anime guy with a sword, and another anime guy with a sword. And then there's this private detective whose backstory I think is kind of similar to Nina from Tekken. Nothing really stood out anyway. And there's just not any characters that are particularly interesting. You have 8 people to choose from. I think there's a couple of secret characters, but off the bat it just makes the game feel a little bit generic. There is more to it. There are good things, which I'll talk about, but at first glance, the only thing that BAT really has going for it is that it got there first. So in terms of release dates for the PS1, it released before Tekken, so it had a few months where it was the only fighting game on the console. I don't know if it was better than the other games around it, but it came first, so it got to say that it was the first ever true 3D fighting game. That's one of the good things about the game, actually. It looks nice. It has its aesthetic. The characters aren't bulging out of their own skin like most of the models from Tekken. And nobody looks like their head is about to burst like Jax did in T1. But beyond that, the movesets are kind of sparse. There's not many moves to work with. I picked this character called Ellis, and I used pretty much the same combo of doing a floor slide, then 2 quick hits followed up with a heavy hit combo, and I just repeated that until the game ended. And when the game did end, all you get is this line of text for the ending, which, it doesn't really compare to Tekken's FMV endings, or Street Fighter's detailed pixel art renditions of Mikhail Gorbachev's head. A funny thing that I found while reading up on this actually is that the game was marketed apparently as the Saturn killer. This was going to be the game that won the console wars for Sony, and it was going to put the Sega Saturn in its grave. But apparently 1 year after its release, so sometime in 95 or 96 I guess, it was released on the Sega Saturn, and that version of the game had more features. It was also ported to PC, with the selling point being that you could play as Earthworm Jim, so chalk another win up for the PC gamers. I can already hear myself sounding sarcastic about this game, and I don't mean to be. It is a good game. I think it plays slightly better than Tekken actually, in terms of controls, but then it just doesn't have a lot of the charm that Tekken had. Another good thing about it that I like is it's a weapons fighter. So each character brings a sword, a knife, a club, or something to the fight. And I think that's interesting. I wonder how much the game went on to then inspire things that came after it, like Bushido Blade or the Soul Calibur series. And I'm bouncing around a little bit with my thoughts here, but the 3D environment really did matter as well. It's an extra layer of dynamics. You can push your opponent off the arena to clinch wins. You can fall off the arena and lose. And you can kind of fly around through the air and come at your opponents from different angles. I don't know if that's better, but it's different, and that's interesting. It does mean that sometimes the camera would get kind of confusing, and you think you're blocking while actually walking forwards into your opponent, but that's just 3D. And to be honest, that's kind of it. Those are my thoughts on Battle Arena Toshinden. My thoughts are, it's okay. It's just kind of unremarkable, but it came at a time where it was the first to do a thing. It's not a bad game, but there's also nothing about it that makes it stand out. I'm going to squeeze it into my ranking just below Tekken. It's fun while you're playing it, and I think if you had friends gathered around a console in 95, it would be amazing, but there's probably a reason that it's not remembered in the way that other fighting games of the era are remembered. My summary, I guess, is that it's just kind of competently bland. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.